Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers.
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
And the millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
Hey there, welcome to One Take. I am joined here, powered by backers, by the way. I'm joined here, it's Justin Fox, joined here by Cory Chadwick. Cory, thank you very much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Justin.
Awesome. We just did, I think, the longest preamble to a recording ever, which is cool. You're asking me some questions, which is great. But I'm really glad to have you on the show here. I know we've tried a few times. I've had some computer issues and stuff like that, but I'll do a quick background. Cory, you're a proud dad, husband, and founder of the Mental Gym at the Personal Greatness Project. So as individuals and organizations, Cory believes that we have so much more potential. Often we simply need to know we can realize it and be equipped with consistent support, community, and right personal operating systems to do it. Cory's passionate about helping good people and teams upgrade their personal operating systems so they can live their tens. Well, I'll ask you about that because let's face it, you're not here to live your 6 or 7. So you can obviously, we'll talk about where they can reach you, but mentalgymlife.com. Cory, thank you very much for joining the show.
Yeah, Justin, it's great to be here.
Cool. So let's talk about that. Tens. I was going to say something very rude when I just read that out, which is probably not appropriate. Something about 5.2s, but anyways, people that have heard that quote may know what I'm talking about. It's a
I have no idea
quote.
what it is. So okay.
Do you want me to get into it? So this is not for kids. It says the line in a song says, "Why bleep a 10 when you can bleep 5.2s?" Anyways.
Classy,
exactly.
not so
classy, exactly. So that we'll start it off. We don't have to go down that road. But why don't we talk about that? Living your tens. Explain what you mean by that concept.
Sure. In a real nutshell, living your 10 is being your best you so you can live your best life.
Right.
What we're talking about here is, like you read, so many of us have just so much more potential. And I feel like we know that we do. We know we've got another gear in us. We know we've got another level to get to. We don't necessarily know how to get from here to there or how to connect those dots or put those puzzle pieces together, however you want to think about that.
Right.
But we know it's there. And I think one of the real troubles is that we were never really taught how to get from here to there. We were shown how to kind of be like everybody else, how to be mediocre, or feel average. And it's just, it's a shame. So we help people really get from here to there and bridge that gap between who they are and who they've always believed they could be.
Okay, interesting. So I've actually been sort of watching a number of different things. And I mean, I've had a couple of people on here talking about sort of like a mindset, kind of different mindsets and stuff like that. One of the concepts though that's come up is the concept of like self-sabotage. I don't know if you like, I don't want to get into that or I want you to kind of get into that. Like, what are your thoughts on sort of like the mindset versus, self-sabotage? Like, why do you think people, if you could let the people watching know, like what is it that keeps us back from living our 10?
I mean, you hit it. It's mindset. It's the big thing, right? We're big about 3 things. It's helping you, giving you the tools, the practical tools, helping you develop the skills to use those tools. I think a lot of people miss that step. It's like, well, I have the tool, I know what to do.
Right.
That's kind of like saying, I know I need to lose 50 pounds. I can go on the internet and find like how to exercise. That doesn't mean I actually know how to do it or how to implement it in my life.
Right.
And then absolutely the mindset. How do you bring it all together? What's the mindset that's going to keep you moving forward and keep you on track, especially when things get hard, and keep you pushing forward towards your goal, who you want to be, the kind of life you want to live, whatever you're trying to accomplish. So the tools, the skills, and the mindset working together, those 3 things working together, that's huge. I think one of the reasons that people self-sabotage is because we just don't give ourselves enough credit, quite frankly. Right. We don't know who we're capable of being or what we're capable of achieving. We want things. Our hearts are in the right place. We want them for hopefully the right reasons, a lot of the time for the right reasons.
Right.
But success scares a lot of people. It sounds like a weird thing to say, but a lot of people are, scared of succeeding and certainly scared of failing and everything in between. We don't talk about these things that often, like in general public, you don't talk about these things with your friends and your family. So
Right.
where do you get the opportunity to really kind of dig into these things and explore or have these conversations that need to be had? I think if we did that a lot more, if we understood that we self-sabotage and understood why we do it, we could be on the lookout for it to make sure that we don't do it. That's a big part of it. I think the other part is, and this is a big one, is if you, just using the live your 10 language, if you don't believe that you are 10 worthy, I'll say, which
Right.
for anybody listening to it is ridiculous. You definitely are.
Right.
But if you don't believe that you are, which is a very real thing, and you believe that like, I'm a 5, that's all I'll ever be. Well, then as soon as you start to kind of stretch that zone, get into your 6, 7, 8, it's going to get really uncomfortable for you. And that's when you're going to self-sabotage because you don't believe that that's where you belong. You're going to bring yourself back down to that 5 and kind of keep yourself at the 5. Which again, it's unfortunate. It doesn't need to be that way, but it is that way for a lot of people.
Is that sort of like the imposter syndrome,
Yeah,
or
very.
that concept of like, feeling like you're duping the world if you've kind of achieved certain levels of success?
Yeah.
I guess where does that come from? Like, if you want to like kind of unpackage it, I looked, so you have a psych degree, Western, I believe, or York?
I went to Western, I went to York.
Yeah.
I did take psych there,
Okay.
but that was a long time
That was
ago.
a lot. Okay, so we're not
It was
using
a
those
lot
sort
of gray hairs
okay,
ago.
Okay, all right, okay. What? Yeah, are we allowed to ask age?
Yeah, 42.
When would? Oh yeah. Are you born in 78?
78.
Likewise,
You
April.
too? Hey, there
Yeah.
we go.
42. It's the year. This is the answer to everything is 42. According to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 42 is the answer to everything. I don't know about age wise, but yeah.
Well, it's got to be if it's the answer to everything. Right?
Exactly, right? Exactly. So welcome to your 42s. What month?
April.
Oh yeah. Are we allowed to? I don't know if I'll say I'm the 19th.
I'm the 4th.
Okay, there you go. That's
Close enough.
same. Yeah, there you go. Aries. April 1978. Perfect. Okay, so imposter syndrome. Like how do you get past that? Like how unpack that? Like because a lot of people, it's easy to say, like you said, the tools, the skills, and then sort of the execution, I think was your third one, right? Or the
mindset.
the belief, right? So is sort of a fourth one maybe like executing on all of that? Like how does somebody go about kind of executing to use the tools and the skills and changing their mindset? Like what are maybe some things or why don't people do that?
That could be a very, very long answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you have? I've got to get my kids for in an hour. But
short answer. This is what we do in the gym, and it's why we do it.
Okay.
It's because for anybody who
segue into tell us about the mental gym. Exactly.
Sure, and I do want to answer you.
Yeah.
I think one place to really start, to really start kind of unpacking that for yourself and
right.
maybe steering that ship in the right direction is to get really familiar and really comfortable with the idea of taking responsibility, full responsibility for who you want to be, for how you want to show up in life, and for kind of life you're here to live. Like, are you here to live your 10 or are you here to live your 6? Because if you're here to live your 10, you've got to take responsibility for making that happen. Like, it's not going to happen for you. Nobody's going to hand it to you. I learned that at a very young age, went through some just really tough times in life. And the kind that nobody prepare you for. And it's just very clear that you can, by default, you'll live your 5, maybe your 6. You work a little harder, you're a little bit smarter, you'll live your 7.
Right.
But there's always going to be that gap between who you are, what you really want, realizing that potential, living with purpose and intention, being happy and fulfilled. You name it, having kind of relationships that you want.
Right.
There's always going to be that gap unless you take responsibility for bridging that gap. And the imposter syndrome part is just we compare ourselves way too much to other people. We live the Instagram life. Everything is what do I see on social media and how do I compare myself? And it's just a recipe for mediocrity. It really, really is. And we can break free of that and kind of, I'm not saying live in a bubble or anything.
Right.
COVID puns
we all are living. That's why, you asked me before, like, why did I create this show, or sort of what was the idea? It was around the fact that everything was shut down And I wanted to create a kind of ongoing conversation where people could learn from people like yourself what they're going through, right? And because we're all kind of going through this together, right? So
Absolutely.
interesting you mentioned the bubble aspect, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we can, again, we're not going to cut ourselves off from the rest of the world. I'm not telling everybody here to just get off social media instantly, but recognize that the more time we spend comparing ourselves to other people, the more time we spend trying to measure up to other people, the more we're just getting in our own way. And when we can, it's not as easy as snapping your fingers and making it happen, but it is kind of as simple as understanding who you want to be, kind of owning your own greatness and just leaning into it.
Right. And I mean, one thing that I've taken from my own experiences, I've gone through different experiences, is it's almost sort of like it's easy to say, but it's that sort of like one decision at a time, one day at a time, and so if you can kind of always feel like you don't necessarily have to make the right decision, but if you feel confident in sort of that sort of decision that's guiding you towards that path, it may turn out to be wrong long term, but at least you know that you were kind of, it's those little steps, right? It's a cumulative thing, right? It doesn't happen overnight, right? Success is a 10-year overnight kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
As they say, right? The overnight success that took 20 years in the making. So tell us about the mental gym then. Someone comes to you, the mental gym, what is it that they can expect? So let's say I show up to the mental gym. I'm assuming it's not a physical place at this point. Virtually.
We live online classes.
Right. So what is that process as an individual? Do you typically work with, a typical or a certain type of person, or is it kind of open to all, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we really are open to people from all walks of life. Our members come from different walks of life, different ages, we don't have a lot of, I wouldn't say like, we don't have like 12-year-olds and we don't have 70-year-olds. It's kind of in that 25 to 45 range is most of our members. But it's, different people, again, different walks of life, different ages, married people, unmarried people, people with kids, people without kids, all that. But everybody's got one thing in common. They're not here to live their 6 or 7. They're here to live their 10. And they want to put themselves in a position, in an environment, to be surrounded by like-minded people who are there for the same reason they are, who can show up for each other week in and week out, who can support each other, who can do the work together and really lean into it and grow together. It's a really cool place to be. It's the vibe in the gym is awesome. It's just a very positive one. It's very open. We talk about the things that, quite frankly, you need to talk about to get from where you are to where you want to be. Every week. So classes are once a week. You come to a class once a week. It's for 1 hour once a week. We work on a new idea, a new concept, a new fundamental, a new skill, or a new tool every week. And then next week we do it again, and we build on a new one, and we do a new one, or do a new one. Very much like you wouldn't go to a physical gym and lift weights for 2 weeks and then quit and say like, I'm all done, I'm healthy, I'm good to go. Your mind is the same thing. We're a gym for your mind. So consistency is huge. Consistent support is huge. Community is huge. Having the right tools and the right skills and the right mindset, we call that your operating system. Having that, it's huge. It's really everything in life is the quality of your operating system. It's going to determine everything from the quality of your relationships to how happy you are, to how healthy you are, to your engagement at work, to your leadership ability. I mean, you name it. This is all coming from one place, this operating system. And so every week, one class at a time, we help upgrade your operating system.
Awesome. So is it like, it's a group class, right? Like
group classes.
So like maybe like a Zoom, or whatever software tool you're using, but like sort of a group video kind of discussion for an hour. So is it the same group of people? Like how many people will be in a group typically?
So classes are up to 12 people. We max it at 12 people. And the reason is that we really are engaged and interactive. We ask a lot of questions. It's not like an open discussion, but we ask a lot of questions. We're back and forth with a lot of stuff. It's not just like a lecture or something like that. We teach a class and we ask questions. We get into, the work that we're working on and things like that. And we want everybody to be as involved as they want to be. If you have 50 people in a class, you're just another number, right? So we keep them at 12 to make sure that you really do get to be involved. Is it the same people every class? Generally, so tonight, like our Thursday at 8 p.m. class. Depending on when you're watching or listening to this, but it's Thursday. So
Thursday. Oh no, we're not supposed to tell them when it actually is.
Oh really? No, okay.
It's sort of, it's random. It could be any time. Well, they know it's daytime because the
All
sun's
right.
coming in.
Anyway.
No, I'm kidding. It's a Thursday. Let's put it at that.
All right. So I'll just say, for example, our Thursday 8 p.m. class, generally speaking, if you come to Thursday 8, you're going to keep coming to Thursday at 8. That's the time. It's like,
right. Okay.
This is my time every week. This is when I come to the mental gym.
It's kind of like going to the gym, right? People usually go like a certain day or time of day, right?
Right.
Or a couple days a week, like Monday, Wednesday morning, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And you've got you're kind of like your crew
in your routine.
Right? Familiar faces that you see every time. So it is like that, but you can go to different classes at different times, and that's fine. That's open to anybody. But yeah, I would say that, most people tend to kind of stick with that time that works for them, and they just have it blocked in their calendar. This is when I go to the mental gym. This is when I work on being my best. This is when I work on being who I want to be. Interesting.
So just a very quick question about that is, did you have in class prior and then like shift? Was there, or was it always a sort of virtual? Like, has COVID impacted that? Did you ever get together like in real life, or I don't know?
No,
physically.
Great question. The work that I used to do prior to kind of evolving it into the mental gym, this was called the Personal Greatness Project. Right. And pretty much everything I did with the Personal Greatness Project was live workshops, live events, things like that.
Okay.
The idea for the mental gym actually was a light bulb that went off in a gym. I used to go to CrossFit. Pre-COVID, I used to go to CrossFit.
Right.
And I was always looking for a way to make this work more practical, more accessible, more simple for people.
Right.
And the light bulb went off that it's got to be a gym. And how do you make it more accessible to people? As much as I do love the idea of being face-to-face, and there's nothing to really replicate that, we do a really good job of replicating it in our classes. People feel really connected. Our members feel really connected to each other. They really feel like we're all there in the room together, which is great. The reason that I love it online is because we'll have people from different places in a class. You'll have people from Canada, you'll have people from the States, you'll have people from anywhere in the same class, which wouldn't happen if it was just a live or a bricks and mortar location.
Right. Interesting. So you've been doing this for about a year and a half or so, like the mental gym component,
yeah, a little over a year. Mental gym started.
And so you started the virtual pre-COVID then?
Yes.
Obviously, right? So it wasn't, that was
everyone
sort of what
following now.
Yeah. Everyone's doing what you were already doing. Exactly. So let me shift gears a little bit. Obviously, a lot of people that are watching are entrepreneurs, people that run businesses, are looking to start a business. Kind of shift. I mean, obviously, I understand what the mental gym does. I want to kind of shift to your kind of thought process, or your mindset, if you will, as an entrepreneur, right? Like you run a business. You mentioned the what was it called, the Personal Greatness Project. So you've been arguably an entrepreneur running your own business for a number of years. Tell us a little bit about kind of your journey, and we joked about psych at Western or York. Which one was where? Yeah, or business. You did business in one, psych at the other. But like, so that journey to where you decided you were going to be going out on your own. Like what led you to that, and what's it been like as an entrepreneur for you?
Sure. So when I was at Western, when I was at York, I started serving tables in a restaurant. And then I started bartending, and then I was kind of managing, and I got really good at making money for other people. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was ambitious. I knew that I had potential, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I realized I was really good at the restaurant and bar business.
Okay.
So that was my first.
Are there any restaurants or bars that we may have patronized that you worked at?
I was actually.
You're in Toronto now, but we're talking in Western or?
No. This is years after that.
Okay.
I was done school by that point, and again, still just kind of like working in restaurants. It's not what I wanted to do with my life, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I worked with some good people and made some good money, and it was, things were good, but I wasn't, where I saw myself being and what I saw myself doing. But again, I liked the business. I knew the business. People was always my thing. I was, I assure you, I didn't make better food or better drinks than anybody else, but I was really good with people.
Right. The interaction.
And building teams, bringing out the best in my team members, and, helping them work together and bring out their best individually and collectively. Like that was always my strength. Anyway, just kind of realizing that it was time to make a move in my life. Didn't know exactly what that move was, but just said, okay, just do this. Like, just bet on yourself and go for it. And I found this pub that I always liked pubs, and I had worked in pubs, and I just found a pub that was not doing the best. Let's say it needed a lot of love, and I thought I could turn it around, and I just bet on myself and borrowed a bunch of money that, quite honestly, I don't think in retrospect I had any business borrowing, but it's what I had to do.
So I just looked at, so that Falcon and the Firkin, was that?
Yeah, Falcon and Firkin up in Richmond Hill.
Okay.
And
cool.
And it was great. And just
so when was that? What year would that have been roughly?
What year? I want to say about 14 years ago.
Okay, so like mid 2000s, kind of 2005, 6, 7, somewhere around
I don't
there?
have the years in my head, but about that. I feel like
when you run a pub, the years maybe meld together, right?
Right. I got my best friend. You ask him about any detail in life, he's like, "Oh yeah, we did this on like November 3rd, 2007." I was like, "How do you know?" Some people have that gift. I'm not one of them.
No, okay. So mid 2000s, let's say. Okay, that's So I mean, I'm gonna age both of us. So like 5-6 years after graduating university, or sort of like a few years, mid 2000s.
It was late 20s. I was late 20s when
late 20s, exactly. Okay, yeah, perfect.
But that's when I remember really kind of developing or understanding kind of maybe my first part of being an entrepreneur. When you're going into business for yourself, it's that people were saying to me, like, this is a huge risk. This could really backfire. You're borrowing a lot of money to make this happen. What if it doesn't work out? All these reasons why. And like, this place you're taking over, it's like, it's not good. Like it's going to need a lot of work. And like, there's all these reasons not to do it. Right. And this is when I realized, like, at least in business, there's all these reasons not to do it. And it's always going to be hard, and it's always going to be easier to just play it safe. And what I asked myself, and this is really one of the first times that I really remember having this conversation with me. And I think it's such a great, it's been such a great kind of life lesson for me. It's been a principle that I live by since, and I teach it to other people, and something that we, it's a big part of the gym too, is what am I going to regret? Right. Like, what am I actually going to regret? And I'd ask myself this question: what am I going to regret here? If I go for it and it doesn't work out and it flops, right? Will I regret that? Yeah, maybe. But what am I going to regret more? That or not going for it? Not
trying, right? Yeah.
And never knowing, right? Like, the worst thing is wondering. The worst thing is wondering what you could have done and wondering who you could have become and all of these things, and never letting yourself find out for sure. I feel like this is one of the great crimes in life. This is when I talk about all this potential that we have, that we don't realize, that we don't explore, that we don't tap into. Knowing full well, and this is something else that I think is a really great exercise for anybody to do, is just fast forward to the end of your life. Like, put yourself, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 years old, sitting at the end of your life, looking back, and ask yourself the questions. What do I regret?
Right.
Answer those questions then, and you can come right back to now, and you can start making changes in your life. And that was one of them, that as soon as I had that conversation with myself, what am I going to regret? Going for it or not
going for it, right?
It was a no-brainer, and so I went for it. It was scary, but it was kind of like scared and not scared, fear and no fear,
right?
And I think once you get over that first hump of just committing to something, then a lot of the weight comes off. Yeah, right. And I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to make this thing happen, no matter what.
Yeah, and I did a similar thing actually. I finished up an MBA in sort of early, I think that's 2011, 12, 13, somewhere around there. Yeah, I'm like you, dates. And I just said, you know what? I quit my job and said, I'm going to start a business. Wasn't even sure what it was. We ended up starting a retail home healthcare equipment business,
oh, cool.
which sucked. Let's say. Retail, terrible, but lots of lessons learned. So I guess my question to you would be, do you regret it?
No, it was every reason. It was a win.
It was a win, exactly. Even though I haven't asked you whether it was successful or not, which is kind of irrelevant. But you've probably learned a lot from it, grown as a person. You kind of, and that's catapulted you into other avenues, I would assume, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, regardless of which way it went, I would have learned a lot. Fortunately, things went very, very well.
Right. Okay.
I learned a lot also.
Perfect.
It was one of those where, and this is something that I think is important for everybody. Yeah, there's a lot of great knowledge out there and advice and mentors, like get yourself mentors and
right.
People who've kind of done what you've done, but you still got to do it your way.
Right.
Like, you still got to do it in a way that feels right to you. And in that business, people say to me, like, you're too honest for a business like that, right?
Okay.
You treat people too well. You're too respectful. And And you know, I feel like that's unfairly casting a general net over.
That seems sort of, yeah, those are, wouldn't those be good qualities or good traits to have?
Well, I
Yeah,
think so,
yeah.
but so much of the advice I was getting was about like
Right.
cutting corners and not being honest with your staff and things like that. And I just kept saying, you know what, guys, with all due respect, I'm going to do this my way.
Right.
I'm going to treat people as well as I know how. I'm going to treat people honestly and fairly and respectfully all the time. I had to do it my way because it's really hard for me. I can't get excited. I can't put in a lot of effort into doing it in a way that doesn't feel right to me. And this is in anything in life.
Right.
And by doing it my way, and again, this isn't being blind or deaf to great advice and
Right.
out there. It's just, you got to stay on track. You got to know where you're going, and you got to make sure that you get there in a way that feels right to you, consistent with who you want to be, consistent with your values, consistent with your principles.
Right.
And I think that's why, in large part, business was as good as it was.
Awesome. And obviously, if you do that, it's the same. It's almost the same sort of two-sidedness of whether you should do it or not. It's, you would regret it if you did it the way they told you to do it, if it didn't feel natural to you, right? It's still that sort of like you're choosing your way, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're choosing to launch a business or not. That's the regret. Or choosing to run a business, you know, sort of based on other people's prescribed, you know, way of doing things versus your own kind of intuition around how you should do things, right? And your own morals or whatever, right? So
Very much, yeah.
And you would regret it if you would go down that road, kind of, you know, cutting corners or doing whatever people maybe suggested. Interesting. So it was successful. You jumped into the mental gym, when did you transition out of that?
Yeah.
Or do you still own the bar?
No. So
Can we
there's
go for a drink? I guess now is a bad time to own a bar, I would assume too, right?
Yeah,
Or a
one
pub,
of
sorry?
my closest friends still owns a pub.
Okay.
And he's holding on there. He says they're going to get through this thing, which is just such a credit to him and his team. And he's just a wonderful guy. Shout out. Can I throw a shout out to,
Yeah, for sure.
King Henry's Arms in Richmond Hill.
Perfect.
It's a great little pub.
Do they do curbside pickup?
Yeah.
Shot
I don't know if they do shots, but you can certainly get it.
I wonder if you can do curbside shots. There's
you'll
maybe
have
a
to ask
business
them. I don't
idea.
know. I don't
As
drink
long as
much.
as long as your patio is licensed, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure. I know they do take out alcohol and take out wine and things like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not much of a drinker myself these days.
Right.
Those days are behind me. But
Right. I guess working in a bar, you've probably had your fill to some extent, right?
I enjoyed a beverage here and there. Yeah.
Right.
I'm never at work.
Well, that's the other thing. Working at a bar, you also have to be extremely responsible, right? Because you're kind of dealing with. We don't need to get into that whole smart serve aspect, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, suffice it to say, the bartender is not drunk. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So
So
what was the question?
yeah, who knows? Who cares? Here's what we're gonna do.
You asked between the bar and the gym.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, tell us about what you're gonna offer them for mental gym, but let's hear the story and then we'll jump into that. And then I have one last question.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed the bar business. I did. And I worked with some great people, and I wasn't one of those people who went to work and like hated it. I really did enjoy what I did. And I enjoyed the people that I did it with. I enjoyed a lot of the opportunities that it gave me in life. But I just kind of felt like I was hitting a wall in that business. I was never really passionate about it. I liked it. I was good at it, but I wasn't really passionate about it. I didn't feel like there was much purpose in it for what I was doing. And that's been a very important thing to me in life is living with purpose. And I just didn't feel like I was getting a chance to reach that next level of my potential.
Okay.
To me, these were all the reasons why it was time to kind of move on. I sold the business at a time where people told me I was, like, why would you built it up to this point? You worked so hard to get it to this point. Why sell it now? But it was just the right move for me. And again, you just got to do what's right for you. And I took some time. I did some consulting in between and a little bit. And I really just took some time to myself. I hadn't done that really ever. I was always working, and I took some time to travel. I learned how to golf, like things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Almost
So
like a little.
are you like a scratch golfer, or what's your
No, now I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
Okay.
So at the time I got good because I was just playing a lot and I was practicing. I got down to about a 9 cap.
Consistency, right?
Consistency.
Repeatedly doing it over and over and over again. We just talked about that.
Trying to get a little bit better every day.
Yeah.
Putting in the work. So I got down to about a 9 handicap, which was
that's really good.
Yeah, it was great. You know, everyone's got that kind of magical round, that one round that stands out. One time I shot a 72 with a hole in one in the same round, and it was like,
Holy shit.
yeah,
Where was that?
At a place called the Briars. It's up
Okay.
on like near Lake Simcoe.
Yeah.
Great club there. Awesome people again. And anyway, it was kind of just figuring stuff out. I made
Beaverton.
myself,
It's near Beaverton, isn't it? Somewhere up that way?
yeah, south of
area?
Beaverton.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the south side of Lake Simcoe.
Shout out to the Briars. There you go. We could just
Shout out
shout
to the
them out
Briars,
too.
right?
There you go.
Yeah, I was actually a member there for a few years, and it was just, you know, again, people there are amazing. And then I had made this promise to myself, and this goes back to living year 10. I had made this promise to myself that I wouldn't settle.
Okay.
And it's kind of amazing what happens when you promise yourself that you won't settle, because you're forced to say no to a lot, which is just a great life skill. You know, Warren Buffett has this quote that I love, and he says, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything.
Right.
And it's true. So, you know, if you can kind of stick it out and say no to a lot of things and only say yes to your 10, that's what kind of got me going into the mental gym direction. I started consulting, kind of took me into coaching a little bit. I had been developing kind of a system for thinking and decision making for years and years, just to kind of elevate my own life. It started out as a way to get through some of these really difficult rock bottom times in my life. Just I had to rewire my brain to survive, really. And then it just kind of morphed. It started morphing into this like thriving mechanism, and eventually started teaching parts of it to people that I had discovered this system of kind of thinking and decision making, which leads to the results that you get. One without the other. Really, when I became a dad, that's what shifted everything. I felt this huge sense of responsibility to do something good with the work. And
there you go. How many kids do you have?
I got 2 young boys.
Oh, how old?
2 and 4.5.
Awesome. I've got 2 boys, 4 and 7. So we're only a couple of years ahead, but it's fun times, right? I mean, that's definitely a shift when that happens, right?
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
It's your life changes, and this sense of responsibility that I felt to not just like be the best dad I could be, but actually try to, you know, in whatever way I could or however I could contribute to making the world a better place for them to grow up in. It became very important to me.
Right.
And that's when the Personal Greatness Project began, was really just helping people discover who they want to be and who they're capable of being, and unlock a lot of that potential. And then a bunch of years later, the Personal Greatness Project kind of just evolved into the mental gym.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So that sounds like a pretty interesting trajectory, right? Bar owner, pub owner, to, you know, personal greatness, to now the mental gym.
Yeah.
With a few years of scratch golf.
Golf and try
daily golf.
I'd love to say scratch. Not quite.
It's 9 over, 9 handicap golf with a hole in one and a par 72 all in one. Cool. So let me, I guess you mentioned earlier, you wanted to kind of offer the viewers something. I appreciate obviously joining me here today. So hopefully I think everyone will take something from this, that obviously, you know, there's that whole mindset thing, but where can they find you? I think I mentioned the website at the beginning, and you mentioned you're going to offer something to the viewers.
Yeah, I'd love to. So if you want to learn more about the mental gym, you can check out mentalgymlife.com.
Okay.
Lots of good info on there. But I would say as much as info as you can get on the site, and as much as you can learn about the gym just from hearing us chat about it right now, I always say it's kind of like having a steak dinner. Like, I could tell you what it's like to eat a steak dinner, but if you want to know what it's like, try it for yourself. So I'd love to offer a class, just to try a class to anybody watching, listening. Come check out the gym for yourself. Check out a class for yourself. See what it's like, see what it's about, see if it's for you. So you can get in contact with me either through our website or through email at Cory@mentalgymlife.com. You can email me directly. Give me the code BACKERS, and we'll get you into a class at no cost. Normally it's $57 to check out a class, but for you guys, it'll be no cost with that code BACKERS.
Awesome. So use the code BACKERS at mentalgymlife.com. So there's a sign up there, right? So they would.
Yeah, if you just go to the website and you click on try a class,
okay,
it'll just walk through it. You'll put in your code BACKERS, and it'll knock that $57 off for you, and then just put yourself into a class.
Awesome. I'm gonna jump in on a class, check it out for sure.
Absolutely.
I'll jump in. Cool. So I appreciate you joining me here, Cory, and your patience. I know we had a couple scheduling changes, but One last question. I'm going to go with a choose your own adventure, the old choose your own adventure book. There's two possible questions. You can choose to answer whichever question you want. So question one is one word that would be a piece of advice, or I guess just a word that you would tell a younger you or somebody else coming up, in whatever context. And the other one is you're standing on a cliff, about to fall off. What are your last words to say your loved ones or to the world? Mostly that you want your loved ones to know about.
I feel like it might be the same answer to both.
Okay. It often is. And actually, I've asked this a lot. They're very related to each other. Yes.
Yeah. I feel it's live your 10. You are really not here to live your 6 or 7. You're here to live your 10. Live your 10. No blame, no excuses, no regrets, no what ifs. Live your 10.
I like it. Awesome. Cory, thank you very much for joining me. I'm definitely going to check it out. Everyone else out there, check it out. mentalgymlife.com. Promo code BACKERS. Get a free session with Cory and obviously with another group of attendees, right? Or what would you call them? Gym?
Yeah, you'll
gym
just come
rats
to
or
a regular class.
Wear your hoodie or wear your t-shirt, wear whatever you want.
Dress casually.
Dress casually. Right?
Yeah, there's you'll get all the info for the class there, how we do things, how a class kind of works, all the stuff that you need to know to get you prepped for a class. Awesome.
Well, Cory, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Everyone else, this is One Take, powered by Backers, Justin Fox, Cory Chadwick. Peace. We're out. Thanks, Cory.
Thanks, Justin.
Let me just see how we get this.
Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by Backers.
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.